it's my great honor and pleasure to welcome Mr. Peter Doran, immigrant and a former policeman, who was awarded an MBE, the most excellent order of the British Empire, for services to the Roma community in 2015. MBE is the highest British order which can be given to a non-Commonwealth citizen. Do you think it's a good idea to immigrate to the UK?
It depends really. It depends if you've got a reason to immigrate. If you are happy at your home country, if you have got all the opportunities as anyone else, if you have got all the finances that you need to live decent life, then probably not. Unless you want to explore different cultures and different world, countries. Yeah, obviously in that case it is possible. But in my case and in many people's cases here in the UK, it's either looking for a place of safety or two, for economic reasons.
Let's say you came to the UK in 1999. You have already said different interviews. It was quite difficult to leave everything except your family. In the Czech Republic. Do you remember one thing you were very surprised about immediately after your arrival? Was there something you didn't accept in the UK?
It's a long way to think about, but I think what struck me first was people's friendliness. How open they were, how friendly they were with complete strangers. I think what shocked me first, the most probably, was the bread. In the UK, where I was looking for a normal Czech bread, and you couldn't find it. It was just this spongy thingy that they call, sandwich. But yeah.
How did you go through the very first days, weeks and months here? How did you feel?
It was a cultural shock, obviously. Living in a country where you haven't got a family, you haven't got any friends, you barely can speak their language. It was very difficult, and especially with us because we came here as asylum seekers, so we didn't know what is going to happen with us from day to day. We could be deported back to Czech Republic anytime, and every time the immigration took us from place A to place B, we didn't know where we are going to. So it was very scary, but probably by week 2, we were settled. We had our own place to live. We had. I already was volunteering in a solicitor's office, so we were quite okay. And there were lots of people always that were willing to help us to integrate into the society.
Yeah, I need to say that the situation in the 1999 was very different compared to the situation in 2017. What was the most difficult thing about the move here from the Czech Republic? What was the easiest one?
It was difficult. I would say I was obviously 18 years old. I was a young man, with dreams, how I want to live my life in the Czech Republic and go to university and all those things. And suddenly this kind of stopped. So the hard thing was for me to imagine what the future will be like in 5-10 years time in the UK for me. And it was a very uncertain future. But best thing about moving into the UK was actually the freedom. Where suddenly we realized we don't have to worry to go to a shop or to go to places and to look around whether there's a skinhead, waiting around. It was just the freedom.
How long did it take to make yourself at home?
I would say probably within a year. Within the first year, we already knew that we were quite convinced that this is going to be our home, and we were fully settled. Within the first year, we already had our own house. We had group of friends and kind of the circle of close people around us. Because of my job and because of my involvement with communities, I hear about loads of cases. I would say that before 2004, most of the people that applied and came here with a reasonable kind of explanation of why they came here to apply for asylum, they were granted, the status. So it's difficult to put it in numbers, but I would say there's more people that managed to get the refugee status, and I'm talking about people that actually came here with valid reasons. When we came first here, as I said before, people were very welcoming. Immigration wasn't a such issue. There were only very few immigrants coming into the UK in 1990s. Obviously, since 2004, when suddenly there was this huge wave of immigration, people started, to find it, they were finding it difficult to cope with the huge influx of immigration. It has changed, obviously, it has changed a lot. But I still would say, even obviously we have got Brexit and all those things, I would say majority of the British people are still very tolerant. I see it the way, in my neighborhood. On one side I've got somebody from Somalia, on the other side I've got somebody from Pakistan, and then opposite from Poland, and then on the other side from British people. And it doesn't make any difference really. When I look at my children's school, in my son's classroom, for example, there are people from all over Asia, Africa, from Latin America, and they all get on together.
What is, in your opinion, to successful integration?
Definitely inclusive education. It's absolute key to obviously success. If we work with the children and young people, give them the education that they need, but not only education, but also a motivation to actually use the education in the future. And to show them, look, you are Roma or you are Somalian, but still you can be you can be a member of parliament, you can be a doctor, you can be a solicitor, you can be whatever you really want if you work hard for it. Then you will create a generation of motivated people that will actually then represent and bring benefits to this country. Antisocial behavior, crime, social isolation, mental health problems, and all those things will disappear if we give people just what they need for their survival.
It's good to say that you are proud to be Romani. That's also the reason why you emigrated to the UK, as you and your family experienced many attacks from Czechs. There are many prejudices against Romani people in the Czech Republic. Do you think they are based on truth in comparison with their integration here in the UK?
No, definitely not. Roma here from Lunik 9, from eastern Slovakia, from all those villages of very poor conditions, and they come here. They don't damage houses. They don't hesitate to send their children to school. They don't stay at home on benefits. They actually integrate into this country, and they just become part of the society here.
Was it a big difference, a big shock that suddenly nobody was interested in your skin color? Could you go out as a huge relief?
It was very, very good. It was a very good feeling and very interesting for me to find out that people didn't care in terms of the negative way. I didn't have to be worried about saying that I'm Roma. So it was a kind of paradox, because on one side people didn't care. And when I said they didn't care, in the bad way. They were not offended, or they were not disgusted. Like in some other countries, gypsy, or we don't want you here. But on the other side, people actually celebrated my difference here, and that was such a new feeling for me. Where coming from a country where you are ashamed to be gypsy, coming into a country where you are actually encouraged to celebrate it and be proud of your background, which is something amazing.
Do you think that immigrants are advantages or disadvantages to the UK and its people?
There are definitely advantages. Immigration brings advantages to any communities, and that's why I often say to my Czech colleagues and friends, don't be worried, and don't listen to those stupid media that actually tells you to be scared from immigration and from immigrants from other countries. Immigration, the country benefits from immigration. And look at the UK, they are still number one, they are still most developed country, and they benefit a lot from it. Same America. Why those countries are so successful? Because the cultures enrich the country, the system, and obviously the economy benefits from it as well.
You are really interested in helping foreigner community here in Peterborough. You were given an honorary MBE for services to Roma community in 2015. Do you find your help to others as your mission, or you just feel that help is needed and it's on you to do it, as nobody else would?
When I first came to this country, it was obviously when I started working as a volunteer at the solicitor's office. It was like, I think I need to do something. I was the only one, I was the first that could speak English, quite well, and I was able to help people. So obviously I felt obligation, to do something. this is how we were brought up, to help all the people, always in my family, because we were always Catholics, going to church, so that was part of my moral code, to help others. But soon it became a passion of mine, where I realized that I can change people's lives, I can touch on people's lives, I can actually, influence somehow the happening, what is happening in the UK, and also not only in the UK but in other countries. When I became police officer, I suddenly realized I can, do so much, in here, but also in Czech and Slovakia.
I know you are quite disappointed that Britain decided to leave the EU. But do you think it's going to happen now? Do you think that Britain will suffer loss because of the decision, or it will be beneficial for this country?
It's a very difficult and sensitive question, I guess. But I personally think that, obviously there are going to be difficulties. Obviously there will be difficulties, in terms of the status of people here. It's still not decided, whether people will be allowed here and under what conditions, and obviously what this will look like, nobody knows yet. But overall, I think the system and the society here in the UK, they will make it work. I'm quite positivist person always, and even though it will be difficult, but I'm sure it will work, and eventually it will actually, it will bring benefits to the communities here, and hopefully in the whole Europe as well. Nobody knows what it looks like yet, so we just have to guess at us. We will have to wait and see. But obviously for this reason, myself and my colleagues are already ready. In preparation for kind of helping other people, with staying here in the UK, or if they decide to go back in the transition from leaving the UK, going back to Czech Republic. So we are obviously already ready to help people that need it.
Thank you for your time.
Yeah, welcome.